September 21st, 2020. It's approximately 6:33 p.m. And as I mentioned, it's virtual. I should have joint controls of this meeting with the borough clerk. However, she is not yielding and she's violating the rights of the mayor again. So I will continue, as I mentioned, under protest, and this meeting may be invalid, as will perhaps the last meeting that we have. So give me a roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Kranjak,
Here.
Councilpersons Pharaoh,
Here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sabari,
Here.
O. Here. Song,
Here.
Aversa,
Here.
Wu,
Here.
Borough Attorney.
Here.
Everyone's present, Mayor.
Okay, before we do the flag salute, I am requesting that council members Aversa, O, Sabari, and Song turn on their cameras so that you can be seen by the public and not just be in stalker mode as you all like to be. Thank you, Jimmy. Ed, Gloria, Debbie, turn on your cameras, face the public, let them see you.
Yeah, just for you, Mario. Have a nice day.
Okay, no, not for me, it's for the public. I don't need to see you. I don't need to hear you either, by the way.
Apparently you like both.
The public has a right to see you. Face
Okay,
the
you like
public.
both. It's okay.
Get out
Don't
of-
worry about it.
Get out of stalker mode, as I know you like to be in, and just
Well,
turn on your camera.
No one would know better than you about stalking, Mario. You know personal things about me
I have
that
no
you
idea
put
what
in an
you're doing.
email that are just
You know,
unbelievable.
Ed.
Let's not go
this is
stalking,
about
Mario.
you.
Let's not talk that.
This is about you hiding. I don't care what
Let's
you're
not
wearing.
bring that up, Mario.
Okay,
Let's
well,
bring things
right,
up
so
about
for the
you
public's
stalking.
benefit, for the public's benefit, I have asked the council members to turn on their cameras, and Aversa, O, and Sabari are refusing to do that. They don't want to face you either, and I don't blame them, actually, given what they've done. Okay, let's all stand for the flag salute that we start all our meetings. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just want to give, Madam Clerk, please give us the Open Public Meetings Act statement.
Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the press and posted as required. Date and time of this meeting was legally given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. This notice is on file with the municipal clerk and posted on the bulletin board. Minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public upon the completion of typing and proofreading by the municipal clerk.
Thank you. So I just want to give everybody a COVID-19 update. As of today, from the start of the pandemic, we've had 73 positive cases in Englewood Cliffs. Right now, we have one active case tested positive on September 19th. And unfortunately, as I've mentioned in the past, we've had 5 deaths of residents. Now, before we go into closed session, I just want to mention a couple things. Just to be clear, I still oppose any residential housing at 800 Sylvan, and I oppose any settlement with Normandy. I support a full appeal, and I wish this Democratic Council majority would see their way to actually doing a robust appeal on behalf of the borough. The planning board, you may have been hearing about them as well. They've pretty much been abandoned by the council majority and attorneys under their direction. The council failed to preserve the planning board's authority and role in the face of what was a judicial onslaught that I believe, and I fervently believe, must be appealed prior to going through any charade that the Democratic Council majority, Fair Share Housing, and Normandy are pushing for. Now, you may have also heard that Christopher Martin, who was the planning board attorney, left his law firm and went to another law firm. Unfortunately, that law firm that he went to represents a large property owner in town who's got an application in front of the planning board and is also subject to whatever we're doing in affordable housing world. So there was a conflict, number one, with that client. And number two, Judge Tuskus is also at that firm, and he was one of the early attorneys and early judges, rather, in this affordable housing litigation. And so, you know, some of his orders, I believe, are still the subject of one or more appeals. So the planning board, with me on it as well, determined that Chris Martin was conflicted. He wasn't fired. He just wasn't hired at his new firm, despite what people are saying. And another attorney has been hired to replace him, who will fight, I believe, fervently and vigorously to restore the planning board's authority, restore order to the process that has been derailed by Sabari, Aversa, and Song since January 2019, when they rejected my 100% plan for affordable housing, and they excluded me and William then from the process, just so their, what I view, their developer friends and political allies can rake in your property values.
Lives.
So Troutner also, who's on this call, excluded me as well. And he has the audacity to now attack me. He's our attorney attacking me in an email that he wrote today. Well, Tom, in January 2019, you threw the first punch and now you're getting hit. Cover up.
Stop it.
At 5:45 this evening, less than 1 hour before the special meeting, the Democratic Council majority sent over documents for my review. I can't tell you what's in those documents. It's confidential, it's privileged, and it's not subject to Oprah, so save yourselves the trouble. But suffice it to say that I would need more than 45 minutes to review them.
We got it at the same time.
I hope the public will get to see them and comment on them. And I just have a question for our borough clerk. Ms. Duffy, when were you made aware of the attachments that you sent to me at 5:45 p.m. today?
At about 5:30.
That's when you were made aware of them?
I'm sorry?
Not when you received them, but when were you made aware of the fact that you may have to be
I
sending?
just answered your question, Mayor.
So your position is at 5:30 you were made aware? Okay.
5:30, 5:30.
I heard Debbie Sabari chirping in back there saying that she got them when I got them, which is
Did.
cute, but you probably knew about them for a long time, I bet, right?
You knew about them also from the last closed session, so please stop with the nonsense.
But why are we getting documents 1 hour before a special meeting? Not even an hour before.
Our professionals were
We're
going.
getting, well, your professionals need to engage and get things done quicker so that we could actually review them in a timely manner.
Well, I hope they're working as quickly as they can, Mario.
No, they're not. They're gaming the system because no one does anything 45 minutes before a meeting.
That's what you would like to.
Okay, so look, I'm not happy with what you guys all are doing. I'm not happy with the fact
I
that.
don't know what you think we're
Let me
doing.
finish. Don't interrupt me. You'll have time to speak after I'm done.
right.
But
I'm-
what happens though is you're gaming the system. You
We're
think
not
no one's
gaming
watching. Turn
I
on your camera.
Hey,
Send documents well in advance before a meeting, not 45 minutes before. That's just not reasonable.
That's when we all received it. I'm sure they'll go over it in closed session.
Right. So as I see the whole affordable housing project here in Englewood Cliffs at this point, it's for a project of inclusionary housing, and you call it affordable housing, and it's being orchestrated by excluding elected officials. So is it inclusion by exclusion? Is that what we're doing now?
Once again, you're lying to the public.
No, I'm not actually lying. You actually are deceitful because you know what's going on, and I have no idea what you guys are doing.
I got the same papers that you
So
did.
it's basically become New Jersey's become a state of inclusionary housing and exclusionary democracy, okay? You're not gonna get away with it. As much as you think you're all gonna get away with whatever you're up to, you're not gonna get away with it. And I see enough residents on this Zoom to make sure you don't.
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll see who's right and who's wrong, especially since I'm not a convicted felon and you are.
Okay, you can continue.
God, you really are some piece of work.
Yeah, well, you know, as an attorney, you should hold your comments to yourself, okay?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to slip out. I just
You wanna-
can't control myself.
You want to be
Tremendous
You want to
amount.
be an elected official of Englewood Cliffs, move to town, run for office, and then you could have a forum. Otherwise, sit there, be an attorney, or try to be an attorney, because you haven't done a good job.
You don't-
Okay, Mayor, can we move
Yeah.
forward now?
Let's
All
go into
right.
closed session. Could I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Madam Clerk, if you remember how to do this, please read in the record the appropriate language to go into closed session. I know you've been busy with other things.
You're so nasty.
Would you like to elaborate? What are the things I've been busy?
You need to read the closed session
Okay.
information. Okay?
Thank you.
That's your job.
Correct.
Right.
And
So
it's
please
your
do-
job to
please
be
do
a
your
mayor.
job.
Thank
Please do your job.
Resolution 2141, whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain confidential matters. Whereas the minutes of the closed session will remain confidential as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act, or shall be released when there is no further need for confidentiality as authorized by the borough attorney. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs will go into closed session for the following matters as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12, regarding Borough of Englewood Cliffs Affordable Housing, 800 Sylvan Avenue LLC versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs.
Okay, for members of the public, I'm not sure how long this will take. So what's going to happen is the clerk will put you into the waiting room, the virtual waiting room. I don't have control over that. I know there's been problems last meeting with things that the clerk did or didn't do.
There weren't
Mayor,
any
I'm
problems.
going to remind you that you need to stop falsely accusing me.
You were unmuting selectively people so you could
That's,
hear their
no, Mayor,
conversation.
that's what you do at every meeting.
No,
So let's just do this for the public. We're going to be at least half an hour, most likely an hour. Okay. Thank you. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. We have just finished a closed session. Can I have a motion to come out of closed session, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think
I did.
Gloria moved it, and then William.
No, Ramon, I did.
Ramon second, sorry. Anyone opposed? Okay, there's not going to be anything added to the agenda tonight in terms of any resolutions. And so at this point, we can open to the public. And I need a motion to do that.
So moved.
Go a second, please.
Second.
Second.
Okay. So if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, please virtually raise your hand or wave at us. If you're on the phone, you'll have to just wait till the end and make sure that we get to you. And as I mentioned, there's nothing being voted on tonight. And we had a closed session with our professionals, and obviously it's regarding the affordable housing matter. So if there's anyone from the public, please virtually raise your hand.
See anyone?
I don't see anyone. So if there's anyone from the public, so this is a special meeting, and as I mentioned, nothing else is going to happen tonight. We have a regular mayor and council meeting coming up in October. But it's good to see so many people so interested in this matter. Okay, well, I don't see anyone with their hands raised. Is there anyone on the phone that wanted to speak? We can't see your hand, obviously, so if you
I'm
just unmute yourself.
asking them to unmute.
Okay. Okay, seeing and hearing, Have a motion to,
So
yeah,
moved.
Mr. Katrubis, I see your hands up. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you. By the way, can you share with us any details about what's going on with affordable housing? Obviously, there was a special meeting, but is there anything that you could tell us further on what the purpose of the special meeting was for, or anything that you could possibly share with us, just so the public has some sort of insight?
So by law, I am not allowed to say anything that took place at the closed session. Prior to closed session, I did make the point that we received some documents to look at 5:45 p.m. And obviously that wasn't enough time for those members of the council or myself who had not seen these before to look at. But the professionals were on the call with us, and that includes our financial professional and our borough planner and the 3 attorneys that represent the borough. So we did have a discussion, a lively discussion, let's say. And so that's all I'm allowed to say at the moment. But as I mentioned, prior to going to this public portion, there's no action being taken tonight.
I just also would like to caution the council that any action towards settlement is probably against the will of the people. People are watching them very carefully, all the actions that they may be possibly taking. And I don't think that it's fair. I'm pretty sure that everybody who's listening right now thinks that it's fair that they can go out and spend $3.5 million of taxpayer funds, and then to come back and tell us that they think that it's a good idea for us to settle without ever giving the public any sort of inclination of what that settlement is.
So that's a good point. Yeah, thank you.
And at this point, the public deserves to know a lot more, and you shouldn't just be, I think that it's just wrong that you're stringing people along every single week and every single special meeting. It's, they might settle, they might settle, they might settle. The behavior is just, I think that it's clear for everybody that's watching that serious change needs to happen within this borough. And I just caution the council before they take any further action. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Katrubis. That's a good point. Prior to going to closed session, I made it clear that I still oppose any residential housing at 800 Sylvan. I oppose any settlement with Normandy in connection with that property. And I want the borough's right to appeal to happen to its fullest. And right now, the way this body of law is set up, you have to ask the judge who's trying to implement her bad decisions right now for permission to appeal. And that goes on until there's what's called a final judgment of repose, which means that the entire matter is done in her court. And then you have the actual right to fully appeal, which is what I am a proponent of. I'll let all the other council members speak for themselves where they stand if they wish. But so just to be clear, that I believe that if there are laws that need to be applied to us, then they should be applied fairly. And I don't believe that's been the case so far. And therefore, we should have the right to appeal and to reverse some of these bad decisions, and to not let those bad decisions be implemented right now, because we have the right to appeal coming up. Okay.
I also wanted to thank you for your professionalism. I don't think that it's fair to the public as well. And we're sitting up here 9 p.m., 9:15, waiting for you. The public deserves better in terms of being able to view the council people. We have no idea what you're doing there in the back scenes, who you're speaking to. It's just the lack of transparency in this borough is it's just shameful. But
So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Katrubis, those closed session meetings are governed by New Jersey state law. And listen, if it was up to me, everything would be open in front of everybody all the time, because that's when you really get work done, right? Because then council members and the mayor will understand what people want and what they don't want. But that's New Jersey law, so it's not.
I understand that. What I'm referring to is we should be able to view you on Zoom, or at the very least, if you're going to go and settle something, it should be done in person.
Yeah.
The public deserves better than to hide behind computer screens. But thank you
Good
very
point.
much.
So that's something else that I said before we went into closed session. Councilwoman Sabari, Councilwoman O, certainly Councilman Aversa just refuse to turn on their cameras and would rather be stalkers out there looking at us, but not letting us see them. Jimmy Song does have his camera on to his credit. And we see kind of like the top of his head, but it's enough, okay? So guys, turn on your cameras. What are you hiding for? Okay. So I don't see anyone else in the public, and
Mr. Perino and
Mr. Perino, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Russell Perino, 220 Fairview Avenue. This is more of a public announcement for the members of the public. I see there's quite a group on the Zoom meeting tonight. As most are aware, the site plan application for 800 Sylvan Avenue was postponed until September the 29th. That's this next Tuesday. And I just became aware that for the public to participate in that meeting, if you want to just listen in by Zoom, there'll be a notice published, I'm assuming, Lizette, on the borough website at some time between now and Tuesday. But I just became aware that the special hearing officer that's conducting this hearing wants email addresses and names of any residents who wish to be either able to speak at all during his proceedings. So anybody who wants to participate and have the right to speak for or against that project need to give their name and email address in advance before the meeting. And Lizette, this may be news to you because I just heard about it. So if you could follow up with the borough attorneys that are handling the affordable housing, they'll have the information specifically that maybe you could put out there on the borough website so that the residents are not stifled from being able to speak. Because if they just come in onto the Zoom meeting on next Tuesday night, they're going to be able to hear what's going on, but they're not going to be able to ask any questions of anyone.
So one more anti-democratic move by the affordable housing regime. Folks, your rights are being taken away by these people. They're actually making you register to be able to listen to what you could just walk into a courtroom normally to do. So Mr. Perino was right, and I thank you for doing that and for bringing that out. So please, if you want to listen, you have to register, and I think it's just highly unusual.
Do you have to listen, Russ, or do you have to register if you want to speak?
You have to register if you wish to speak at all during the proceedings.
But you don't have
Listening
to
you can do
register
without doing it in
to
advance.
listen.
You just go into the Zoom like anyone does. But to be heard as a resident for or against the project, you need to do it in advance. So my suggestion is, Mayor, that it be posted on the borough website, a reminder as to the date and the process of where they'd have to send in this information. I think it's to Judge Garopoli, but I don't have the specific information, but it could be posted on the borough website.
Ms. Duffy, please do that tomorrow, and also do an email blast to the town. I think your rights are all being trampled upon. So thank you, Mr. Perino, for doing that, and also for chairing the planning board, which is a difficult job right now.
Thank you.
Russ, just so you know, a lot of municipalities, rather than having a Zoom meeting the way we have it, they take the emails and questions presented during their Zoom meeting so that the residents aren't on.
So could you repeat that? So they're writing in their questions, you mean, by email?
There's municipalities that instead of doing a Zoom meeting the way we have it, they give out an email address and they forward their questions to the municipal clerk, and they're answered during the Zoom meeting. So I assume this case is going to be handled the same way.
Well, what I've read, though, the email that I've that I've seen said that the names and email addresses had to be furnished before the proceeding. So I'm not saying that's not going to be the way it's going to happen, but from what I've seen so far, it was an advanced registration is what was required. And I think most residents would have no way of knowing that until the proceedings were already underway and they realized they couldn't speak. So that's why I thought it's important that it be brought to the governing body's attention and to whatever residents, whomever is listening to this to this call.
Thank you so much. Since we have so many people on, I'll repeat something I said earlier in the meeting, which is my COVID-19 update. So right now, we've had a total of 73 cases of COVID-19 in the borough. We have one active case right now. The last active case was diagnosed on September 19th. And unfortunately and sadly, we've had 5 deaths of residents in the town. So is there anybody else wishing to be heard?
There's a number that keeps coming up. The person who has 561-14831, did you want to speak?
I think.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Angela Chang.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some questions regarding this affordable housing settlement. You know, if there's any settlement proposed, right? I understand it's behind the door, it's confidential because, you know, certain council members do not want to disclose to the public before they vote on it. But this is really not fair to the public, right? Because you are talking about a settlement with a major developer, which will create several hundreds of units that will increase the town's household by at least 20%. With this kind of big project, right? You not letting the public know, is this, you know, possible in any other place? You call this, you know, democracy. Where is it from? Like, you know, even in, you know, back in the communist country, people don't do that. At least you need to show to the public what is the plan, first of all. Secondly, what is the impact of the plan to the town? And you have to give the town's residents at least 15 days to discuss, right? To discuss what will be the impact, whether we will like to accept it. You have to compare the pros and cons. You have to tell the residents what's going on. It's not like you have just one meeting and you vote on it and boom, 2 years later, the residents found out, oh, there's several hundred units there. This is not the way to do it.
So Ms. Chang, you're right. You're right, Ms. Chang. And nothing could be voted on until it goes to the public. It's all the stuff in the background that I'm not too happy about that goes on and that I've shared with you from time to time, but I can't share what's done in closed session. Look, inclusionary housing or affordable housing should not mean exclusionary democracy, okay? And that's kind of the way New Jersey has been rigged, right? The inclusionary housing, exclusionary democracy. That's why I want to appeal. So you could further highlight the inequities of this process and the fact that these people these developers in fair share housing and their politician friends are shifting the value of your home into their pockets and their friends' pockets. That's what I'm fighting for. And I appreciate everybody on this call who wants to fight with me on that. I'm with you, Ms. Chang. We won't let them do it unless you actually know about it beforehand.
And I can tell the council members that there are a lot of residents are furious or angry about lack of transparency in this matter. And we're going to fight till the end, okay? We're not going to give up easily. Don't try to lie to us. Don't try to do backroom deals behind us. It's not tolerated. It's not. So please remember this, okay?
I agree. I see Mr. Mehta's hand up. I unfortunately have a an urgent matter to attend to. So I'm going to have to leave the meeting, but it'll continue without me. Gloria, put your camera on and can you finish chairing this part of the meeting? Okay, Councilman Wu, would you chair this part of the meeting?
Mayor, I'm back.
Okay, put your camera on and can you see everybody?
I can see everyone, yes.
Okay, good. They need to see you. Unfortunately,
that's
I
fine.
apologize to everybody. I need to go attend to something, and I'll wish everyone a good night. Thank you, Gloria, for chairing.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
Does anyone
Everyone.
from the public like to speak?
Ms. McMorrow had her hand up.
Ms. McMorro?
Yes, hi, Council President. Oh, thank you. I have a quick question, and I don't know if you can answer it. If you could either direct the question to the borough administrator, borough clerk, or the borough attorney. At the last meeting, Ms. Gill spoke, and she stated that she spoke to the people at Fair Share Housing, and that it was pretty much a done deal, in her opinion, I guess, after she had this conversation. My question to you is, would you please make public for all the residents in Englewood Cliffs who at Fair Share Housing she spoke to, what the phone number is, and afford every resident in this town the same opportunity, and allow them to know who they can call and communicate with at Fair Share Housing? That's my first question. And
I'll take that if you want.
Go ahead, Mr. Marinello.
I don't have any idea who she spoke to. I don't have any idea what they told her. I don't think any of the council people do either, at least as far as I know. Fair Share Housing's number is available online. They are a very small group of people there. I don't encourage people to call them because they are our adversary in a lawsuit, and it's really not the appropriate thing to do. However, I can't stop you from doing it.
okay, I appreciate that, Mr. Marinello, but my question is, yes, they are our adversaries. And what I'd like to know is if they spoke to Ms. Gill, how were they able to speak to anyone then about our litigation, which they should not have been speaking to anyone about?
Mr. McMorro?
I'm as dumbfounded as you, Mrs. McMorrow.
No, well, I appreciate that. And I mean, that's a pretty important question. I mean, she said that he spoke to them at Fair Share Housing and that that's pretty much a done deal. So how are the people at Fair Share Housing discussing our litigation with anyone? And what information did they disclose? I mean, I'm
Ms. McMorro, if I could answer your question, I read the same article that you're referring to.
No, that was live, Councilwoman.
What do you mean?
I mean, she stated that live on the Zoom call.
Oh, okay, so
I
maybe it was from the last meeting.
Yes.
But I have no idea who she spoke to, or, you know, if she did in fact speak to them. I have no idea what the content of the conversation was. I don't think anyone at this meeting is able to answer your question on that because we just don't have the information.
No, and I appreciate that, Councilwoman, Council President, but I'm bringing up a very important matter that I'm going to take Ms. Gill at her word that she spoke to them because she stated that she did. And B, how did Fair Share Housing disclose any of our information about what's going on in our litigation? Because just as if we would ask any of you any of these questions, you would rightfully so say to us, we can't discuss that with you right now. Yet Fair Share Housing is discussing our litigation with others, so that are not part of the litigation. So, I mean, you know, either they speak to all of us or anybody that calls, Or, I mean, it's a good question that I'm raising. And I think that somebody should be looking into what they did and what did they disclose and who were they disclosing it to outside of who's ever of record to be privy to that information.
Do you have any other questions, Ms. McMorro?
No, I would appreciate if somebody on the council could look into that.
Mr. Marinello, do you have any suggestions?
Not really.
Mr. Mehta?
Yes, hi. Heyman Mehta, 75 Roberts Road. On 10th of July, 2019, we had a town meeting under the Open Public Record Act, whatever it is. What I don't understand, and I heard Ms. McMorrow, I heard Mr. Marinello, everybody talk as to why, or that the council, it's appropriate for the council to have their deliberations or their conversations in closed sessions and not disclose it to the people. But what I don't understand is that under the so-called Open Public Act, on 10th of July 2019, the council members spoke to the town members, means to the citizens of the town, explaining them whatever was going on. And we had the other side, which is 800 Sylvan over there with their cameras, with their tape, taping us, and they presented to the court, basically saying, hey, all the people were opposed to this, okay? And they used it to strip us of the immunity and to show to the judge that everybody was opposed, blah, blah, blah. So are their rights superior to the rights of the citizens? So when it comes to that information we should have, we don't get that information, and it's supposed to be confidential information, supposed to be discussed only within the 5-6 members. And Mr. Marinello agrees, and you, Ms. McMorrow, you agree too, because all of you stated that. Yet, from what I heard from you, Emily was able to speak to the opposite side, which is the fair share housing. So for public, they're on the opposite side, but they are on the same side when they're talking to Emily because they gave her all the information. How does that work? It's unethical and it's wrong. And basically, if she made that statement, okay, how does that take place? That means, did they plant Emily in the town? It's like an insider going out and going against you like a Trojan horse. Is that what they did? And that's why they were talking to her?
Mr.
Because
Mehta?
I know that they will not talk to me.
Mr. Mehta?
Yes.
Thank you for your comments. I think you're just going a little overboard about what Ms. Gill had stated. I mean, she's not a spy, if that's what you're...
Wait a second, I'm not asking. Okay, I'm just making a statement based upon what took place, what Ms. McMorrow is saying is on the tape, because I wasn't there at that time. I haven't seen the tape because the tape just got uploaded a few days ago. At that particular time, I wasn't there, so otherwise I would have noticed it at that time. So I'm not saying she's a spy, but if basically Fair Share is talking to them, then that's what it means. Because they won't talk to anybody else, except that they might be talking to you guys, but they're not talking to any one of us. And everything is in hiding, right? You guys do everything behind the closed sessions. But yet, everybody knows.
Just speaking, let me speak for a quick moment here with the rest of the council and to address your comments, Mr. Mehta. You know, I had made some communications with the court after informing them that I had asked for some details from Fair Share Housing. I, as a council person, got no response, got nothing. I did get a warning from our borough attorney, Mr. Marinello, not to do that. Yet, you know, at that last meeting, Emily Gill did publicly make the statements that Ms. McMorrow mentioned. There was no mention to Ms. Gill that she should not be speaking to Fair Share Housing.
Councilman Wu, as you know, if I could just say one thing, she was acting as a resident You, on the other hand, you're a councilman, and you can't just, unilaterally reach out to our adversary, okay? So that you're not really comparing apples to apples. Emily Gill was reaching out as a regular resident, just as if Mr. Mehta was to reach out to Fair Share Housing. So it's not the same where you would reach out to them and, just because you didn't get a response back.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable. What I reached out about, just for the public's information, is letting the public know that, Mr. Wunsch at no point was authorized formally to negotiate on a settlement on behalf of the mayor.
I
and
know
council.
you keep bringing this up, Councilman Wu, but we have to remind you that you were in the room. You were in the closed session when we discussed this. And we took consensus and we gave him the authorization to negotiate. So I don't know why you keep going back.
We can agree to disagree on that. I don't agree with that.
We could always agree to disagree, but I had to remind you that you were in the room, okay? So I'm gonna take the next person, whoever wants to speak from the public.
Well, one more point I want to address to you, Council President O. Just for your information, we called a meeting today. A lot of residents are all here waiting hours to speak. We did, as the mayor pointed out earlier, got 5-6 attachments at 5:30 p.m. Typically, we're all working during the day and expected to, able to review all that before the meeting. I think Council President O, you're the head of the agenda committee. I would think that we would get the information first and then schedule the special meeting. I'm surprised.
Councilman Wu, okay, I may be the head of the agenda committee, but I got the email at the same time as you did.
Yeah, I understand.
It was the information that we were waiting from our professional. So it wasn't part of the agenda per se, but it was the information that the professionals were providing to us for the meeting.
I personally don't think without any of that information we provided, there was anything to talk about in closed session. Obviously, it's confidential, but that's my comment on that. And I think we should have gotten it. We should have gotten it.
You know what? I agree with you that we should have received it sooner than 5:45 when we all got it. But I did not get the information anytime sooner than you did. So anyone else from the public wish to speak? I know Paul Chong had his hand up before. Do you wish to speak, Paul?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm a little bit new to these meetings. Thank you for all 100 of you for showing up. I guess my question is, I've read all the literature, I've seen the pamphlets, I've seen the emails, and I hear a lot of people talking about being opposed to the settlement. Is there anyone who's not a council person that can tell me about what they really think the benefits are of settling at this point, other than the potential downside of just more units? Or is this pretty much the 100 people here are pretty much opposed to rolling the dice on this? They would prefer to roll the dice as opposed to settle. I guess I'm asking the general public if anyone can speak. Council person.
I can't address the public.
You have to really address it to the council, and then if other people want to speak toward it, they can. I understand what you're asking, and I understand your point, but you have to follow through with the procedure that we have. So if someone wants to raise their hand or speak to that, they're certainly welcome to. Okay, Gloria.
I think I got my answer. Or no answer.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? If not, then do I have a motion to close to the public?
So Young has her hand up.
Okay, So Young, you may speak.
I could. I'm David Sacker, 12
I'm sorry, Mr. Sacker. We just called on Ms. So Young to speak. You can...
Yes, hi. My name is So Young Lee. My address is 195 Pershing Road. Paul, the reason that we cannot settle is because we don't oppose affordable housing obligations. We are going to comply with affordable housing obligations in accordance with law and the terms that borough find appropriate. The reason that we cannot settle right now is because we do not want market rate apartment at 800 Sylvan. And they are using these affordable housing obligations to deceive residents.
Yeah. I wasn't looking for people who are opposed to the settlement. I was looking for people who are for the settlement. Sorry, just to clarify.
I don't know whether there are anybody on this call who is for settlement, maybe some, but I believe most of the residents are on this call because they oppose to this settlement, which will affect our town, and which are based on the court unreasonable and arbitrary decisions. And this settlement will take away our right to appeal. And I have come to these meetings many times these days just to show why we cannot settle and why we need to appeal. And as Councilman Sabari and Councilman Song promised in their campaign, they said very clearly they're going to fight at court. They will stop residential development at 800 Sylvan. That was their motto in 2018 campaign.
True. That's not true.
I have your printed out evidence. Your campaign, I can provide you and provide other residents with written campaign materials that you will stop 800 Sylvan. You opposed to residential development 800 Sylvan. And in 2019, the first thing you did was to hire Albert One and negotiate this settlement in 2019 January. That's how you derailed this town's compliance with affordable housing obligations. And excuse me, I'm speaking. Who is speaking? So, and that's why, and you have not done the best in appeal. You have not shared litigation information with mayor or Republican council members. That's why we lost builder's immunity, not the first rejection by the planning board of their corporate development. We were on the path to comply with our affordable housing obligations. You are the one, you, Councilwoman Sabari, and Councilman Song, you are the ones who derailed our path.
Okay, thank you.
So, excuse me, no,
Thank you.
I'm not finished. So we have initiated, at first to recall, Councilman Song and Councilman Sabari. We are mailing each and every resident petition with a message and execution instructions. You will receive those petitions this week. You please follow the instructions. This is not a platform for
excuse
me, and I'm speaking. Please, no, we are going to.
Okay.
We are going to elect people who will represent the wills of this town.
Okay.
Not
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is not a platform for campaigning. Anyone else in the?
I'm not campaigning. I am campaigning. I am
You
not
had your
campaigning.
chance. Thank you
I am
very
not
much.
campaigning. Okay.
You're entitled to your own opinion. Thank you.
Council President, I'd like to respond. I'd like
Go
to.
ahead, Ms. Sabari.
Okay, Ms. So Young,
Yes.
you're entitled to your opinion. The reality is that when I was campaigning, I could not have said I was going to fight it because it wasn't even in court at that point in time. I had no idea what the town plan was because it didn't come out until December. I was elected in November. My campaign, what I ran on, is that I would try to convince them to remain corporate. But if I could not, I would do my best to reduce the impact on this town. So please, do not misquote me. What you're saying is an outright lie. And it's not okay to behave that way. You may not agree with the fact that I think we should settle and that that would be the best thing for the town. But I honestly don't think that everybody understands that if you appeal, the best case scenario is that you're building 154 units and you are overlaying the town. That's your best case scenario. So there's a lot of information that's out there that the town should look at, because I'm not going to back off of the fact that I believe that the best thing for this town right now would be to settle. We are being destroyed in the courts. Our attorneys have advised us that that's what we should be doing. So I am doing the best that I can do for this town. You may not agree with it, but I have a lot of information that is not available to you. So thank you for your comment, and you have every right to do whatever you would like to do as far as your recall position. Thank you.
And the attorneys that you are getting advice from are not
a back and
not
forth.
the experts in affordable housing
This is
litigation,
not-
and
this is
that's
not
why
Let
we have
me
not
see.
proceeded
So,
to meet.
okay, so I
Ms.
understand that you're an attorney, but I believe this is not your specialty either, so.
Yeah, it's not my specialty.
So,
That's why I
you know,
cannot work
I
on
thank
this
you
kind
for
of
your
litigation.
opinion, but we have other public members that would like to speak. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Sacker is next.
Thank you. I wanted to reply to Mr. Chung's question, but before I do that, I just wanted to correct Ms. So-Young on 2 points. First is that that the judge canceling our immunity, she indicated was because the mayor and the council were acting in bad faith, not because of anything that the residents were doing. The second correction is that the experts, the professional experts, 4 of them testified at the meeting I attended in the summer of 2019, and all 4 of the experts recommended a settlement and recommended against an appeal. Now, to Mr. Chung, who was asking if there was anybody in the public who was in favor of a settlement, the answer is yes, I am, and my wife is, and my son is. All 3 of us have been living here for 50 years. We feel that continuing to appeal in court is a recipe for disaster. We will only bring more punitive measures down on us. We will not win the case in this court. We stand alone in the entire state of New Jersey in terms of expecting to win an appeal without settlement. And we have already wasted millions of dollars on a fruitless appeal. And finally, I feel that a settlement is in our best interests, in our economic interests, and most important is the right thing to do. So that's my response to Mr. Chung's question.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Can I speak?
Sure.
Hi, this is Maria Valari. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do the hand thing. So, you know, I wanted to address a few things. That July meeting, those experts that spoke, they were the same experts that previously to that were all in on appealing and fighting. It wasn't until the Democrats won the majority and they retained the same people that were working beforehand, and then all of a sudden they did an about face and changed their opinions, and all of a sudden it was let's settle. Just wanted to clarify that. The majority of this community is first of all, I would like to say something about Miss Gill. Lovely young girl. However, I resent the fact that she called us racist. She needs to go and do her homework to find out how diversified this town actually is. And just because we may not agree with what her opinion is, does not make either me or many other residents in this town racist. Yeah, on the other hand, we could say Ms. Gill is racist based on what her opinions are. So therefore, we need to clarify that just because we have a difference of opinion does not make us racist. I would like to say that I think that we just have too much unknown. We as the residents and the taxpayers of this town don't have any information. I understand it's behind closed doors and you're making your deals, and I feel that we should have more information on what your deals are, first of all. Second of all, I don't think that people understand this is not about affordable housing. You keep talking about affordable housing. I have no issues with affordable housing. What I have issues with is the amount of units that will be put into this town that we are concerned about legal fees. You need to be concerned about schools, infrastructure, while the builders are getting rich and the people who are doing their little deals behind doors are getting rich. The residents of this town are going to suffer the consequences of your decision. And I would love to see all your faces. You have been elected officials, yet you hide behind your pictures. And I think it's a shame that you do that. You should make yourself available to speak in person and not behind a picture of yourself. And Ms. So, with all due respect, you should let the residents speak. The woman who was speaking before this, and I can't remember the name. I really feel you were disrespectful to her and how you interrupted her. And I also feel, Ms. Sabari, you speak down to people like you know everything, but we know nothing and we need to know. Mr. Marinello, we need a little bit more decorum from you and a little bit more fairness to the other people that are involved in this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Mr. Bay?
Hi, 1431 Miles Bay. Thanks for your time. I just made two statements.
You're not coming through clearly. Your audio is not working well.
Okay. Is this better?
Little bit.
Okay. So the reason why we are where we are, I think the residents actually reacted quite against the settlement a couple years ago at the meeting, was that the experts that were hired by the town and the stories that they set out made little sense to everyone that was attending the meeting. For example, 200 units, expecting 62 kids be coming into the school system, which seemed ludicrous. And on top of that, the school board members had no idea about sort of the number of the additional kids that they're talking about coming from 200 units. Back then, it was basically 200 units was sort of used as an example. And everything else, just as other residents have noted, the infrastructure, just think about the number of cars that will be coming down 9W Sylvan Avenue, going to East Palisades during the commuting hours, in the morning, at night, in the evenings. The policing, we just cannot afford to basically have a massive, dense, high density housing. Again, I don't think anyone in our town is against having affordable housing in our town. I don't think we're racist. I think we're a very, very open community. We are responsible citizens. We do want to do our part. And the reason why we do not want to settle, and this is extremely important, is because once we settle, we have given our right away to effectively fight and try to get a better settlement, or better, basically going to court and petition and basically appeal the ruling. Because based on what we know to date, the judge has been extremely sort of aggressive on the number of units and everything else based on whatever she has seen from the what we've done as a town to date. And based on what she sort of said and what she has ruled to date, it is egregiously unfair for a town of our size, and it gives us a tremendous chance to effectively appeal and repeal a lot of things that she's trying to rule on. So I think we have a legitimate shot at appealing this. All I'm saying is we should not give away our ability to appeal once the formal ruling is given. Because once we settle, we give that away because we voluntarily settle away our right to appeal. We should wait and see what the judge says and then appeal it accordingly. And other residents are concerned about legal fees and things like that. I pay the taxes as you do. I'm concerned about taxes going up, expenses as well. But once a high density housing comes into Eden Sullivan, then all our taxes will go up significantly more. As a town, we'll pay so much more. The legal fees, whether it be $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, it'll look like nothing, peanuts. I'm done, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who hasn't spoken yet? Mr. Kiwari?
I'm 90 Roberts Road. My only submission is that the town as such is not against affordable housing. We had the plan for the affordable housing, and later on this Sullivan Avenue business came up and it derailed the whole affordable housing. We became racialistic, we became so much, it brought so much bad name to Englewood Cliff for no reason. If the Democrats have settled down for the affordable housing, as was the plan in the beginning, before they came in majority, things would have settled down and nothing would have happened. And at this point, I'm willing to fight till the end because I don't want to settle it because this is unfair. What the judge is saying is not right because considering the number of houses this town has, the number of units the judge has okayed is not fair, is not happening in any other town except she has done it for Englewood Cliff, and I'm against it.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, then can I have a motion to close to the public?
Can I speak?
Who's that?
This is Tao Yi. I'm living in the 363.
Oh, I don't, okay. You have your hands up? Hand up?
Can I speak?
Go ahead. You haven't spoken yet, right?
Okay, I haven't, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I have been living here. My name is Tao Yi. I've been living in the town for 3 years at 363. I've been attending the meeting for a few times but never spoke. Basically, I'm a dad of 2 kids here. I have a few points here. Number one, I think we do need to know more detail about settlement before we reach agreement. As a resident, we have a right to know it because we live here for a long time. Secondly, we are looking for long-term growth and benefit for all the residents for the town. We are not opposed to affordable housing. Attorney fees only a short-term cost. It's one kind of one-time thing. We can get better way to resolve the issue in fair way based on the opinions of the resident. Don't have to rush. Number three, all the residents here, most of the people here still spend a lot of money on the housing because of the good school. So we need to maintain and keep a good community for our residents. So we just cannot settle at this point.
Thank you. Anyone else? If there's no one else, would anyone under council like to make a motion to close to the public, please? No? Ms. Barry?
So moved.
Councilman Wu. And who seconded? We need a second.
Second to close?
Second.
Farah. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.